were sent these beautiful his and her watches, a nice couples matching watch in gold. They are 30 meters water resistant, and they also have a little window that shows the date as well. But one thing is, when they arrive to you, they're kind of big, at least for my wrist. I have a pretty small wrist, and my husband's was big on him as well. But it comes with a sizing tool, so he's gonna sit down right here and show us how to size them.
All right, it has a really good clasp on here, has two little buttons that you push on the sides to be able to open that up. Really high quality stainless steel clasp on there. Nice gold plating here, and you can see that along here are the different links that you can remove, and it's on both sides because you want to make sure that the clasp stays uniform with the main body. So you're going to remove some clasps from up here and then some from up here as well, some of the segments. So let's go through and show you how to do it. And it has a little tiny rod that just pushes the pin that's inside there out to be able to adjust it. So we're going to go through, line it up here, line it up there, and just very carefully, and then as you do it, just twist, and you'll make sure that it pushes itself out. And then as I'm doing that, you can see the pin right up there. It's really small, but you can see the pin starting to push out. And then once you get it out enough, then you go through and you back this back up, and then just be careful. You don't want to lose the pin in case you need it again. But there, you can see the pin there. We'll remove the pin, and then boom, it opens up. One of the things I didn't mention on here is that on this, it has a little arrow that points in the direction for you to be able to remove the pin. So make sure that you're using that, because there is a little, there's almost like, it's probably hard for you to see, but there's a little indentation on this where it was pounded down to make sure that it goes one way. So when you're going through and doing it, make sure that you are following the arrows that are on there so that you can push the pin the proper direction. Okay, so I've removed one pin, but I haven't removed any links yet from it. So I'm gonna go through, put it on here, and then say, okay, you know what, based on this size, I need to be able to remove quite a few of these, almost all of them, all of the adjustability to be able to get this to the right size. So we're gonna go through and move this one now, and then we're gonna remove the top one as well and shrink it down almost to its smallest size. That's what's gonna fit me really well. You can see it push out there, and you can see right there the pin, how it has that little tiny, it's like spread bigger than the other side. So that's how you know that you're going the proper way. All right, we'll pull this pin out, and voila, it separates again. So now I have just the watch body. I have all the different adjustment points out. Let's go through and put it on there, and you can see pretty much without any additional links in there, it'll wrap around my wrist once I have the clasp removed from the other pins as well. So this is a great way to be able to know how many links you need. Go ahead and remove what you need, or remove all of them. Hold it up there, put it on your wrist, and then hold the clasp up to be able to see how many potentially need to go. So I'm gonna close the clasp there, hold it up, and yep, it should be just perfect by removing all of them and only replacing the clasp. I have one side of the clasp already connected here. I'm getting ready to do the second side, and just wanted to show you something as you're going through. Because I'm putting it back together, I'm gonna go the opposite direction of the arrow. So on this one here, the arrow is pointing this way, so which means I wanna put the pin in this way to be able to secure itself. And the pin has that flatter head on it, so we need to make sure that that flatter head stays in parallel with the flatter part, or the longer part of the band here. And then we take our little pin set, line it up there with the pin itself. Push it back into place. Make sure it's lined up. There's a lot of room for it to kind of wiggle, so just make sure that you're taking your time. You don't have to go very far. You just want to make sure that that pin is pushed right back in place. And there it is. You can see the pins there pushed back into place. All right, now let's see how this fits on my wrist. So we'll go through and we'll clasp the one side, and then we'll go through and we'll clasp the other side. It's a little snug, so I think that I would put one more link in there just so that it's not quite as snug, but it does fit. It's not slopping around on me at all. It's not feeling uncomfortable, but I do feel like it could be a little looser to be 100%. But there you go. Now you see how to unclasp that. And then to open this, those little buttons on the bottom side of the clasp, just push them together and it'll open itself up. And then you can take it off. I'm going to go through and adjust the one for my wife as well. So got lots of experience. Really easy to do, especially if you just take your time, use a little patience. Don't get frustrated. It is a lot of small parts. So if you need help from somebody else, if your hands aren't quite as agile, make sure that you're requesting that help. Or maybe you can do there and do the spinner to be able to remove the pin and then somebody else pulls the pin out. But you can definitely do it. These are great. We're really excited to be able to use these. I have it fully adjusted, just the right amount of links. It has just a little bit of play in there, which I like. It's not too overly tight. You can move back and forth a little bit, which means that there's some breathing room in there. If your wrist expands, maybe hot days or something like that, it's not going to feel overly snug and feel constricting. Make sure that you're keeping the links and the pins. A good idea, put the pins back in the links, follow the arrows so the arrow is pointing out, so then you can just go through and put the pin in the backwards way so that it stays in place, and then use your device to be able to push the pin back in there, and that is a great way to be able to make sure that everything stays where you want it to be and it can be found later on. There we go. You don't have to push it all the way in either. You can just do it just a little bit. That provides enough snugness of the pin that it's not going to fall off. And then just go through, put them inside there, and they're good for safekeeping later.
All right, thank you so much for sizing it. Fits great, looks great, and now we are matching.